I have a tendency to be considered one of the guys in the contemporary area that likes to play fast or has the ability to play a little fast because I was a bebopper. I was raised playing straight ahead music, more John Coltrane. I'd say Dexter Gordon, Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, Charlie Parker were my biggest influences coming up. Having said that, my biggest thing is if you think about all the guys that I've just named, the main emphasis on them was their sound. Dexter Gordon had a wonderful sound, really big sound. I'm from Texas, so we love that big Texas tenor sound. Coltrane had a really nice, poignant sound, kind of mid-rangey, but it was very distinctive all his own. Cannonball Adderley, you can't say anything more than just perfect about his sound. And Charlie Parker, very round and full. And my biggest pet peeve is when players do not focus more on the sound of their horn and getting a quality, well, say for instance, practicing long tones. When I was growing up, that was never an emphasis. But for some reason, as time went on, my ability to play long tones, for some reason, was already there. Maybe sound was more important to me when I was coming up instead of trying to play a bunch of notes and trying to be flashy. My hugest pet peeve is just trying to be flashy. I like for guys to actually learn how to play the instrument, but also learn to get a good sound, because if you don't have a good sound, I really don't care what you play. I want to hear a good sound coming out of the horn. And that's been one thing that I've always focused on when giving a clinic or so. Just the first thing you do is you put the horn in your mouth and sound. A really nice pure sound, whether it's round. It can be like Stan Getz. It doesn't always have to be edgy and full and round. It could be kind of muffled and in mid-range, but just something that's pleasing instead of harsh and ugly. So I would say to players, definitely concentrate and focus on getting a good sound, a good solid sound. Play each note from note to note, top to bottom, and make sure you get a good quality sound. When it comes to especially studio work, I mean, you want to be versatile. If you're a primary instrument, you will get called for what your strength is. If your primary instrument is alto, then you'll get called for that. If your primary instrument is tenor, same thing. For me, it is really helpful that I never really decided on any one instrument. I love them all. I love alto, tenor, and soprano. And what's even more interesting is that my voice is slightly different on each. And that stems from my influences. So what I can tell you is that when it comes to choosing an instrument, if you do choose one instrument, make your style your own. That way, I mean, a lot of people will choose you for your voice. When I'm making a record and I want to get a guitar player, I don't just get any guitar player. I actually hear a certain person's style. So I go for that particular person. And I think that is prevalent in the industry, where if someone hears a sax solo on something, and it was so obvious back in the day that everybody wanted a David Sanborn sax solo in the 80s because his sound was so distinctive. I think it's a good idea if you start with a particular sound, and we all start with someone else's sound, then you try to find your own voice in there as well. A good way to do that is just to, sit and play by yourself after you've been playing for a while with records and taking off solos from other players. Sit and play by yourself and just trying to discover your own sound. And inside your head, you'll hear it. Your voice will generally come out. The only other thing, as far as studio work goes, I would, especially for up-and-coming players, I would listen to as many records as I can. The style of music that you want to play, listen to those styles. If you can be versatile when it comes to going in the studio and working on records. Sometimes if I'm going in and I'm playing a Beachler mouthpiece here, which is generally a contemporary sounding mouthpiece, if you want to say Sanborn sounding, but it's a bit more edgy. But if I go in the studio and they want a bebop solo or a straight ahead solo, then I know how to change the sound and make it a little bit rounder. So I mean that helps. Just play around with your sound. You can change the tone in your throat and in your head. It definitely does affect what you do and what you can do. Don't limit yourself to what you can do. There's just experiment with what you have. That way you make yourself versatile. You make yourself open for quite a bit more work. The more I'd say the more distinctive or the more narrow you make your focus as to what your sound and what you're going to do, the more limited your possibilities as far as work will be. Now, I won't say that you're not going to work as much. I will say that if you become successful in that sound and everybody wants it like David did, then that's a great thing. But as far as an LA studio musician goes, if you're planning on doing quite a few things, and your sound has a bit of variation to it, and you can change it from here to there, different styles of music, then you have a tendency to be able to work quite a bit more.